When we open Access, we get a window like this that will either ask us to look at the recent files we've been editing or to create a new blank desktop database, which we can do that. By clicking on here, we then indicate the name of the file and where we're going to save it. Well, we want to save it in Documents, so that's okay. We want to call this Station Video. And we create this. Now that gets us a table, table 1 it's called, and we'll show you how to rename that later. And it also indicates that we've got an ID field and then nothing else at the moment. Now, we don't really want an ID field. We want to change that. So we're going from the view and click down here to the design view. And this is where we can rename it. And we're going to call it member. Okay. Now, you'll see a little key here that indicates a primary key. And that means it's a table that is used as a reference for this table, particularly when we're communicating with other tables in the database. We're actually going to call this member ID. The next thing we're doing is we're changing this from auto number. Auto number means the database automatically puts a number in. We're just going to call it to a number, and we can specify what we want to be in here. We can put a description in here, and that really becomes then a data dictionary. What else in our member table? We want our given name, and that's going to be short text. Surname, again, short text. Address, same. Town, same. Postcode, we're assuming this is in Australia, so we're going to change that to a number. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is later on is look at how we're going to make a validation rule. In other words, how we're going to make sure that postcode goes in accurately. And finally, we might have phone. We're actually going to put this as short text. And the reason why is that mobile numbers have a leading 0. If we put a number in, it will take the leading 0 away. But if we leave it as short text, it means that we can put the 0 before all the rest of the numbers and it will remain there. And the other thing we might put in is an email address. So that will be fine for the member. We see we've named it member here now, and that's all good, so we can close that. And it says, do you want to save the changes? And yes, we do. All right, so we have our first table here in our database. We want to create another table. We go to create. Now we can either go to table, or even better, we can go to table design, and that will allow us then to put all our fields in straight away and then save our new table. So we click on here, field name. Okay, the field name we want to put in is a DVD ID. Data type is going to be a number. Then there's going to be a title, short text, genre, short text, loan type. This will be whether it's weekly, daily, and that could be short text. We also want to have the cost of that video. That is going to be a number. We don't put it as currency because we can format that later on. Okay, so we've got that now. Now what we want to do is save that, and we're going to call that DVD. Okay. And we've just made a couple of errors there. First thing is we need to make a primary key, which is the reference field, which will be this one. So we're going to click that as our primary key. We're going to try and save that again, but this time we'll get the spelling right. Okay. And now we have two tables, our DVD and our member table. So we can close this. The final one we're going to make is our loan table. So we click on Create, Table Design. In this one, we're going to have a DVD ID. We're going to have a member ID. And we're going to have a date. Now, unfortunately, we've used what's called a reserve word. So we're going to change this slightly to loan date. Now, we need to change the data types because each of these are actually numbers and they need to match what's in the other tables. For the date, we're actually going to have it as a date time so that the database recognizes an actual date when we enter the data. This table, because it's going to link the other two, doesn't have a primary key because it uses the references to the other tables, and there'll be some more discussion about that in class. So we save it. We're going to call it loan. Okay. It says here there's no primary key required. We don't want a primary key on this, so we say no. And there we have DVD, loan, and our member tables all created in our database.